You can read every personal finance book ever written. You can track your spending in an app, meal prep on Sundays, and still end up exactly where you started 10 years from now, doing the same things, earning roughly the same money, wondering why the gap between you and the people who seem to have it figured out just keeps widening instead of closing. Here's what I want you to sit with for a second. Most of what you've been taught about building wealth is not wrong. It's just incomplete. And that missing piece? It's behavioral. It's identity level. It's not a strategy. It's a way of moving through the world. I want to walk you through 10 habits, real ones, not the surface level stuff, that separate people who stay stuck from people who actually cross over into the upper class. And I'm going to tell you about habit number 7 before we even get there, because it's the one that will bother you the most. It's the one that most people refuse to do. But first, there's something you probably believe about wealthy people that is almost certainly costing you money. I'll get to that too. There was a guy I knew in his late 20s, 31 actually, software engineer, decent salary, smart. He had a gym membership he used, a budget he followed, savings going in every month. By every visible metric, he was doing the right things, but he would tell you, and he told me, that he felt like he was running on a treadmill, moving but not going anywhere. What changed everything for him wasn't a raise. It wasn't crypto. It wasn't stumbling onto some secret investment. It was the moment he realized that his financial decisions were being made by his emotions in real time, instead of by a framework he'd set in advance. He didn't have a system. He had habits. But they were reactive habits, not intentional ones. That's the first thing. Upper-class earners make decisions slowly and spend money fast on things that were already decided. Everyone else does it in reverse. They decide impulsively and then spend weeks justifying it. If you don't recognize yourself in the second version, check again. The second habit is this: they track net worth, not income. Your salary is a speed. It tells you how fast money is arriving. Net worth is your actual position. Two people can have the same $95,000 salary. One has $12,000 in savings and $40,000 in consumer debt. The other has $180,000 in assets and a paid-off car. Same income. Completely different financial lives. Upper-class wealth builders obsessively watch the number that reflects their real position. They update it monthly. They feel the gap closing, or notice when it isn't. If you've never calculated your net worth and written it down, do that tonight. Third, they are allergic to lifestyle inflation. There's a study Morgan Housel references in The Psychology of Money that tracks how people's spending adjusts after income increases. Almost universally, spending goes up in lockstep, sometimes ahead of the raise in anticipation. The average person treats a raise like permission. The people who build wealth treat a raise like fuel. When income goes up, they let their lifestyle adjust by maybe 20% of that increase and invest the rest so aggressively it hurts a little. That discomfort is the point. The fourth habit is one that sounds obvious until you see how few people actually do it. They have multiple income streams. And they started the second one while the first one was still small. Not passive income in the fantasy sense, real second income. A freelance skill, a side business, a rental unit, a digital product, something that brings in money from a source other than their employer. The reason this matters more than almost anything else is not the extra dollars. It's the psychological rewiring. Once you've earned money outside a salary, you stop seeing your job as your only option. That mental shift alone changes how you negotiate, how you take risks, how you value your time. Fifth habit, and this is where it starts to get uncomfortable for most people. They pay themselves before they pay anyone else. Non-negotiably, automatically. Not whatever's left at the end of the month. The money moves on payday, before you see it, before you feel it, before you're tempted to spend it on something that felt urgent. James Clear writes about this in Atomic Habits. The best way to build a behavior is to remove the need for willpower entirely. Automate the saving. Automate the investing. Make it invisible. The people building real wealth are not more disciplined than you. They've just removed the decision. Drop a comment below if you've already automated your savings. I'm curious how many people watching this have actually done it. Sixth, they protect their time like it's a limited resource, because it is. Rich people don't manage their money better than you. They manage their time better, which eventually produces more money. They say no constantly. They decline meetings. They don't spend 45 minutes on the phone with their insurance company when they can pay someone $60 to do it. They have figured out what their hour is worth, and they are ruthless about not spending it on things below that value. Start calculating what your hour is actually worth. Then start acting like it. Now, habit 7, the one I told you about, they get deeply comfortable with being misunderstood by people who are average with money. This is the one nobody puts on a list. Upper-class wealth builders routinely make choices that confuse, bother, or even offend the people around them. They drive used cars when they can afford new ones. They live in smaller homes while carrying significant investment portfolios. They say no to vacations. They skip rounds at dinner. They reinvest bonuses instead of celebrating them. And people in their lives, friends, family, sometimes partners, do not understand this. They get criticized. They get called cheap, odd, workaholic, no fun, and they keep going anyway. Thomas Stanley documented this pattern across hundreds of wealthy families in The Millionaire Next Door. The defining trait wasn't income level. It was the ability to tolerate social friction in exchange for financial progress. Most people choose the approval. The ones who cross over choose the goal. The eighth habit is about how they interact with wealthy people. They seek proximity to people who are further along, and they do it without envy, without performance, and with genuine curiosity. If your 5 closest friends earn roughly what you earn, make roughly the same decisions you make, and are at roughly the same place financially, that is not a coincidence. It is a ceiling. Not because you need to drop anyone, but because you need to add people. Go to events where people who've built what you want are in the room. Ask real questions. Listen more than you talk. Ninth, they make financial education non-negotiable. Weekly, recurring, uncancelable. Not motivational content. Not YouTube rabbit holes that feel productive but teach nothing actionable. Specific, focused learning about investing, tax strategy, asset allocation, debt structuring. 30 minutes a week, minimum. Over the course of a year, that's 26 hours of compounding knowledge, which eventually in real dollars is worth more than you'd believe. The most financially sophisticated people I've ever observed treat learning about money the way an athlete treats film review. Non-optional, structured, consistent. And the 10th habit is the one that ties everything else together. And it's the one that sounds the most unserious until you actually do it. They have written financial goals, not vague goals. Written, specific, dated, reviewed. Not, I want to be rich. Something like net worth of $500,000 by age 42. Second income stream producing $2,000 per month by end of next year. Fully funded emergency fund before December. There's a reason goal-setting psychology literature overwhelmingly shows that the simple act of writing something down, not typing, writing, dramatically increases follow-through. It forces clarity. Vague intention stays vague. A written target with a date attached becomes something your brain starts unconsciously solving for. Here's what I want you to take away from all of this. Upper-class financial life is not built in one big dramatic move. There's no moment where the helicopter lands and drops a bag of money. It's built in the invisible decisions, the daily habits nobody sees, the discomforts nobody hears about, the choices that feel boring from the outside but compound over years into something no one can ignore. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is not an intelligence gap. It's not a luck gap. It's not even an income gap, not at the root level. It's a habits gap. And habits, unlike income, unlike luck, unlike circumstances, habits are in your control right now, today. If one of these habits hit different for you, if one of them felt a little too accurate, that's the one to start with, not all 10. 1. Because one real change, compounded over time, does more than 10 changes you never actually make. If this shifted something for you, subscribe and share this with your loved one who's ready to hear it. I'll see you in the next video.